This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Welcome all to our November 18th Monroe County Board of Commissioners meeting. I'd first like to thank the county, those residents that are working together, wearing their masks, and doing what we need to do to protect each other. And as we approach into our moment of silence, I want to then let's think about those struggling and those that are now up against some difficult times with the COVID as we're moving forward. So a moment of silence at this time, please, followed by the pledge. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Yes.
It's on you. Okay, first on the agenda, any public comment based on the agenda at hand? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward. Thank you. At this time, corrections to the duplicate. We have Cindy Cook with us, representing our assessor's office.
There were no additions. The subtractions amounted to $8,025,620, and that was due to court mediations that were taking place.
Okay.
Thank you, Cindy. You can have your ticket validated for parking.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to accept the corrections to duplicate.
Second.
We have a first and second. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on. Okay. We have Joe Pierce on the phone with us. Sir, are you there?
Good morning, Commissioners. I am here, and I'm here with my colleague, Laura Kurtz. And Laura, if you're ready, we'll present the debt ordinance.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you, Joe. Everybody, my name is Laura Kurtz. I'm an attorney with Eckert Siemens, and I work with Joe Pierce. Madam Chairman, Board of Commissioners, since you're familiar with this proposed project, I will simply highlight a few of the key points for the legal authorization, which is necessary to authorize the bond issue. So the ordinance that you have in front of you is ordinance number 2 of 2020, and it authorizes the undertaking of the capital project, which is related to the courthouse, and the incurrence of non-electoral debt under the Debt Act, and to issue bonds in the maximum principal amount of $12,850,000, excuse me, to fund the capital project. It accepts the bond purchase agreement from PNC, which will be supplemented by an addendum, which will contain the final pricing and material terms of the bonds. We refer to this ordinance as a parameters ordinance because the addendum, which sets forth the final terms, must fall within the parameters which are set forth in Section 4 and Schedule A to the ordinance that contains the maximum interest rate and maximum principal maturities for the bonds. The ordinance also appoints UMB Bank to serve as your paying agent. They've served as your paying agent in the past. The ordinance pledges the full faith, credit, and taxing power for the repayment of the bond. It covenants that the county will budget appropriate and paid debt service on the bonds annually. It provides for the appropriately filing to be made with the Department of Community and Economic Development, and the notice is to be published in accordance with the Debt Act in the newspapers. It authorizes the preliminary official statement and the final official statement to be used in connection with marketing the bonds. That's your disclosure document that investors will see. It authorizes the preparation and execution of all the necessary documentation going forward towards closing. So if you so choose to enact the ordinance. And lastly, it permits the authorized officers of the county to take any action that's necessary to effectuate the issuance of the bonds, which at this point is expected to occur on December 16th. So if you enact the debt ordinance today, we'll move towards pricing, which if David isn't there yet, he will comment on later, but we expect to happen either the first or second week in December, and then closing sometime around December 16th. So I'll take any questions that you might have. The only thing that I'll suggest is when you do take a vote on the ordinance, I ask that you have a roll call vote. So thank you.
Okay, any questions at this time?
Laura, what's the difference between, this is John Moyer, what's the difference between the 12,850,000 and the 10 million that we've been discussing?
That's a very good question, Commissioner. So we are setting forth.
You told me to ask it, so I did.
Yes, so the ordinance is this parameters ordinance, as I mentioned. It sets forth a maximum amount. So just to cover each principal maturity every year, we've bumped up the numbers from the $10 million schedule that's been circulated so that we have enough room in there to issue the debt within those principal maturity amounts. So since we had to bump up each maturity every year, the total amount is bumped up to a $12.8 million number. That's not going to be the number that you sell in the first or second week of December. It will be much less than that. But since we don't know exactly what the interest rates will be and the market will be that day, we chose to provide a schedule. A PNC provided a schedule that sets forth maximum interest rates of, I think it's 5%. So that's why those maturities look very large, and it gives you a very total aggregate number of $12.85 million. But it's the expectation that the issue will be under $10 million and it will be bank qualified.
So this is a worst case, sort of a worst case, if you will.
Now that's, if I may,
A very conservative estimate.
now, Commissioner, this is Joe Pierce. It is not a worst case. The size of the issue will not be more than $10 million. This allows, as Laura said, when David goes into the marketplace to sell these bonds, to meet the demands of the market within each maturity. If we tell DCED that it's $10 million, then there's no maneuver room from maturity to maturity for David to sell these. So this allows him to maneuver and get the $10 million or less, depending on exactly how they market and how much what they call original issue premium there is, to keep it under $10 million. Because they want to be bank qualified. That's one of the reasons we're doing this. That's one of the primary reasons we're doing it, is to make sure they're bank qualified. And this allows the room for that period following today, when David's in the marketplace, to sell as much as is needed without going over 10 million. So this is not a worst case. There will not be any bond. There will not be a dollar or a penny over $10 million of bonds sold.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions?
He said Mr. Payne does, and he's not here yet, so I don't know if you want to hold off on adopting the ordinance till he gets here, or.
Is that okay?
You can.
John, do you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, there's a piece on Mr. Payne.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Mr.
he gets here, and he's
Mr. Pierce, what we're going to do, it looks like Mr. Payne is still on his way. What we'd like to do is hold off on the motion and the enactment until he gets here, in case there's any specific questions. Are you okay with that?
I think that's appropriate. Yes, ma'am. And I will stay on until David makes his presentation. So in case there are any questions we can help answer, we will do so.
I have a question for Laura, Joe. This is John Dunn. Are you there, Laura?
Sure, I'm here.
Do you get paid more because you have to work with Joe Pierce?
That's a great question. No comment.
Another great question, right?
No comment.
No comment.
Just wondering.
Smart lady. Okay, moving forward. Then we'll move on to old business, and we'll put that on hold. Old business. Approve, do a motion to approve the minutes of the 10/21/20 Commissioners meeting.
And
And number 2, thank you. A motion, amend the motion M 2020-207 to reflect the following changes. As you'll see, increase the computer capital purchases in the amount of $123.25 to reflect the increased cost of a laser printer for the public defender.
So,
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second for items 1 and 2 in the old business. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. We do not have any proclamations or certifications at this time. Moving on then to new business. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 1, items A and B, under B, 1 and 2.
So moved.
second.
We have a first and second for item 1 under personnel, A and B. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Number 2, electronic financial transactions to ratify. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in A? Should I go all the way through?
A, B, and C.
Yeah.
A, B, and C.
Yeah, A, B, and C.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have motion to first and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Number 3, travel authorizations. There are none at this time. Number 4, Monroe County Children and Youth Services. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 4, items A, B, and C?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Any questions, any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. I just want to look at the, okay, let's split up the commissioner's, office area, and we'll do items A through P at this time. Is that all right with you too? Only so we can, separate the CARES part to it.
You mean A through O?
A through O, because of A through P, correct?
Yeah, P is the vendor.
P are vendors.
Q is the.
Q starts the,
So moved.
okay,
I'll second.
thank you. So it's a motion to approve the actions, listed in number 5, items A through P. And we had a John Christie, so moved, and second by Commissioner Moyer.
I second. Yeah.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Hi there. Would you like to take a breath before we move on to you?
All right, he was able to stop at Walmart.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's finish.
Let's finish this part, yeah. We'll finish this one and go on, and we'll keep you for a couple minutes later.
No problem.
Okey-doke. Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in Q? Holy cow. I don't, all the list is there. Let's go up to. I don't know my,
I through I.
yeah. LII, yep.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay, these are to ratify the execution of the following Act 24 CARES Coronavirus County Relief Fund Recipients Agreements. And they're all listed on the agenda, and you should be able to see them online. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All righty. And we move on to item number 6. Motion to approve the actions listed in item number 6, letter A.
So moved.
Second.
The first and second. Any question, any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, number 7. Monroe County Domestic Relations Office, do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 7? It's letter A.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8, Redevelopment Authority of Monroe County. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 8, letters A and B.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Capital outlay purchases, number 9. Do you hear a motion to approve the actions, capital purchases report dated 11/12/2020 totaling $2,346.80?
I'll move that we accept the actions in number 9A.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Number 10, computer capital purchases, letter A, ratify the computer capital purchases report dated 10/26/20 totaling $428,270.89.
I'll make a motion to
Approve. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve number 10, letter A. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, moving forward. All right. Miscellaneous? Any miscellaneous stuff?
No, we better go back.
Yeah, we're going to go back. Okay, before we even have public comment, let's go back to your report, okay?
Thank you.
All right, let's let,
Dave Payne.
this is Dave Payne, representing, the PNC, correct? And, Joe, are you still there? I don't think he's there, so you're on. They're there, okay. Okay, so we're going to start, okay. We're going to start, Mr. Payne's report at this time.
Thank you very much. Good morning. As you know, we've been working with the county, with your finance team, which includes Joe Pierce and Laura Kurtz from Edward Siemens, your administration, Amy and Greg and yourselves, in looking at the potential issuance this year of a $10 million bank qualified bond issue, which will be used for capital purposes and capital projects of the county. The reason why we're here today is because in order to get the most efficient bank qualified rates on this first $10 million, we need to issue them and settle them in 2020. You only get $10 million of what's called bank qualified low interest rates every calendar year. So we've sized this up so that we can do the issue and price it sometime around December 2nd, settling on December 16th. What you have been placed in front of you for approval is an ordinance number 2 of 2020. Now, the ordinance lists a maximum amount of $12,850,000. Now, I just said you're going to be borrowing $10 million. The reason we sized that up to $12,850,000 is to give us the investment bank the opportunity to move slightly principal amounts through the various maturities through 2029, which is the last maturity on the new issue. It in no way signifies that you're going to borrow anything more than $10 million. At time of pricing, which will be that first week of December, we will ask our desk for what they believe are the final interest rates that will be available in the market. We'll convey that to the county through the administration, and then we'll go to price the bonds, again, at no more than $10 million par amount. The maximum interest rate, which is listed in the ordinance, is also a maximum rate that is nowhere near where you would be borrowing in today's market, which is continuing to be a historically low municipal bond interest rate market. The maximum interest rate is listed at 6%. The actual rate that you're going to be borrowing in maturities from 2021 through 2029 are going to range to less than 1% to probably no more than 2.5%. Again, the climate for municipal bonds, with all the uncertainty that's going on in the world in regards to COVID, the global economy, the election, political unrest, things like that, that negative news suppresses interest in what might be called other investments and creates demand for very safe investments, which are United States Treasury bonds and municipal bonds of United States governmental entities. So it's a very attractive time to borrow. It's proper to be prepared with the parameters issuance so that we can enter the market as soon as possible. So that's why we sized it up to $12,850,000 at a maximum interest rate of 6% to allow us to get into the market as soon as possible that first week of December. The ordinance also talks about a lot of the other things which will allow this to be a federally tax-exempt bond issue. And Joe has adequately put all of those considerations in the ordinance. It also allows the approval and the signing of the bond purchase agreement, which we have signed today along with the ordinance. The bond purchase agreement identifies PNC Capital Markets as the underwriter. And it allows us to go out and finalize your preliminary official statement, to market the bonds a week before that December 2nd pricing, and then enter into the market to find the best rates for you. An underwriter's job is to complete the sale. That's our main duty, meaning that if we went into the market with $10 million worth of County and Monroe bonds and only found $8 million worth of buyers on that December 2nd, PNC Capital Markets would step in at the market rates and buy the other $2 million so that you could lock in those low rates. Now, I'm not expecting that to happen because timing is everything. At 9:05 this morning, we got a report from Moody's, which outlined your affirmed AA3 rating. That is the current rating that has been on past bond issuances of the County of Monroe. In today's environment, specifically the COVID environment, especially with governmental entities across the United States, the rating agencies have been taking a very close look at your traditional operations and also how you've been handling COVID and the effects of COVID on the county. And for you to maintain your AA3 rating without any outlook change, they could have applied a negative outlook just because of COVID, is a testament to what you've done in the past and what you've done currently with your finances. And it will allow us to go into the markets on December 2nd without having to buy bond insurance. If you had had a rating below the AA rating category, more than likely you would have had to pay a slight premium for bond insurance to market the bonds and get you the lowest rate. But because you've maintained that AA3 rating, we will not have to apply for bond insurance. Let's see, what else do I have for you? As I mentioned, the new bonds go out to 2029. We're utilizing a wrap structure so that we can mitigate the actual debt increase on an annual basis in the early years. Most of the bonds are paid back in 27, 28, and 29. Let's see, what else can I have? We've gone through timing. Like I said, we're going to complete putting together what's called the preliminary official statement. There's a couple more items that we want to tie up, including the county's response to COVID to put into that marketing statement. But that should be ready to post hopefully by the end of next week, and again, price the bonds on December 2nd. Joe and Laura, if you could have heard all of that, I'll ask you to opine or give any comments.
I have none, David. Laura?
No comments. Thanks, David. We already did review the ordinance with the commissioners.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
So you were late because you were waiting for the Moody's call, not because you couldn't find your suit?
I thought I confirmed the time at 10 o'clock. I apologize.
It's okay.
Dave, just a word about the length of debt that Monroe County has and anticipates, because this is only the first of 2 or 3 borrowings that will have to be undertaken to complete the new courthouse addition.
That's
and,
true.
You know, all of us are always reticent to borrow money when it's not necessary and obligate some future Board of Commissioners out till the year 2097.
Mm-hmm.
We have attempted up till now to keep our debt as short term as possible to pay off, even though it hurts a little bit more in the beginning. The savings on interest are well worth it over the long run. I'd just like a word of comment from you about the length of
Sure.
our anticipated borrowing and how it stacks up against other municipalities.
Sure. One of the very important characteristics of getting your bond rating and getting a rating in the AA category is the rating agencies take a close look at your overall debt and the structure of your debt. So the structure of your debt is very level. Currently, it's at about $6.6 million a year in debt service, and it only went out to 2027. That was your outstanding debt. When we apply the $10 million for the new money, that extends it out to 2029. But the reason the length and current maturity of your outstanding debt is important is it is relatively short in comparison to other counties. Quite frankly, you had less than 10 years remaining on your outstanding debt. That allows the county to start structuring a significant project like the courthouse project and be able to keep the annual debt service at or slightly higher than what you're currently paying, which is $6.6 million. When you factor in the significant amount of borrowing that may be ahead for the county over the course of the next 12 to 24 months, we have enough room, because your debt only goes out to 2027 at this point in time, to move most of those bond payments up into the first 10 to 15 years. If the case had been that your current debt ran out 20 years, we would have had to go much longer to borrow for capital projects. And as you might know, if you borrow for a 30-year mortgage as opposed to a 15-year mortgage, the longer you go out, the higher the interest rate. So the fact that we're starting right now with this first issuance of $10 million, and you only have an outstanding maturity schedule that was 8 years long, that gives us an awful lot of opportunity to market bonds in the earlier years as opposed to the very far back end. So congratulations to the current administration for making sure that they maintain the structure of that, and also giving us the opportunity to build in those bonds in maturities that are attractive to potential investors.
And we were all here on time.
And you were all here on time.
And we would be able to, if we wanted to, take this bonding out for the life expectancy of the building.
Absolutely. And I'll let Joe potentially comment on that, but I believe that with the current structure, when we're anticipating not only this year's borrowing, but future borrowings to complete the project, that you are well short of the minimum useful life of a new courthouse project.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, just a comment, Dave. You focused on the importance of getting Moody's to maintain our rating, and we were involved in that call last week or the week before. And one of their major concerns was what the impact has been, and what we see happening with COVID, especially as it relates to our economy being so related to tourism and tourism-related businesses. And we had indicated that we saw some drop-off in participation in those things early on, but that we had the sense that they were coming back, and that they were pretty strong. I don't know how to characterize what we are in now. Are we in the second phase of COVID or the third phase of COVID? But after the first phase of COVID waned a bit, we saw the activity in our resorts pick up and get back to something close to normal. And just yesterday, Teresa Johnson, our treasurer, indicated to us that, and the only barometer we have here is the collection and payment of hotel tax. But the hotel tax that was paid during this most recent quarter was at, Teresa, I believe, the level of last year, or very close to where we were last year. So it's an affirmation that we have bounced back from it, and that the resorts are servicing a large number of people. Nobody has a crystal ball enough to know what happens after or during the phase that we're in or beyond. But I think the resort industry has proven a great resiliency in bouncing back, and you know, we keep our fingers crossed that that continues.
Safely, I think. So I think that's important too. All right, so Do I hear a motion to approve the enactment of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the county's general obligation bonds series of 2020 in the maximum principal amount of $12,850,000 with the proceeds thereof to be applied toward the cost of certain capital projects, which projects include but are not limited to the planning, design, purchase, acquisition, placement, and construction of an addition to the county courthouse called the Courthouse Addition Project, all as more fully set forth in the ordinance.
I'll make a motion, and I'll preface that by making it motion, ordinance 2-2020.
Okay, is that?
That's fine.
Okay.
I will second that.
Okay, ordinance -2-2020.
Madam
Okay.
Chairman, you need to do a roll call vote.
Yes, hearing that request, Commissioner Christie?
Aye.
Commissioner Moyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Labrador? Aye. All in favor? Okay. Anything else? Any
Make
other?
a motion, we adjourn.
Let's ask, any public comment at this point before we adjourned? If we did not have it, I did not ask for that before. Hearing none, seeing none? Okay. John? Adjournment?
We are.
Okay.
Go right into
Well,
the public meeting.
we have the public meeting for the budget, okay.
Drifting in.
Pardon me?
I'm drifting in.
I see that, okay. Well, Amy's got to pass a couple things out anyway.
Okay.
Amy, do you want some help with that? Because I don't mind.
It's more like lurking.
Okay.
Yes, lurking and drifting and stalking.
We are still
All of
recording
those.
because of the,
Right,
That,
we are.
just what the significance is. I know you usually do the stuff.
Should I put us on mute?
Numbers.
I mean,
And,
we're gonna roll right
for electronic and working through the issue up and down, and, you know, how did the system work and all that. You again, carry permits.
You're gonna do the budget presentation.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, maybe they're just for the budget.
I thought they were over.
Great that they came in, though, got great pictures of that. You're just a popular guy. Coronavirus relief fund recipients, your company,
Keep it rolling.
great groups, people work, well, you know, you can promote any way you want. And I'm gonna say, if you don't mind. Oh, I know, I already. Figured.
Keeping this meeting
When
going.
could I
Yes,
get any
we're rolling.
information like that?
Yeah, they're rolling.
Any of this?
This is over.
The budget meeting? Okay, I'll hang in. Thank you. Thank you. When it's all over and you have maybe hopefully a little bit of time, would you be, I don't know who'd work with that, but he always does all the monetary things, what it is, why it is.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, you can, okay, and this right here, put your name, the election system worked, were you happy? Were the results, as good as you thought they'd
I
be?
would, but he's the president of election.
So he would be the one, okay, I'll put his name on
Because
there.
he's president of election.
Terry Kermit, he said he was.
I know.
Coronavirus relief fund, he said he thought, if you would want, he's been carrying that
I
ball.
know.
Are you cool with all this?
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable with this, or is that another number?
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
love it.
I'm gonna
That's
put,
gonna be brief, it's gonna be, we're not gonna.
oh, well, that's all we wanna hear.
I know.
Like, wow.
I know.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, so you're down with that one?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just hang in and get some pictures.
Okay. All right.
And I'm gonna take a picture of that book. Would you be willing to do this one? Election system working, how, were you happy? How did you think the crew did? And are the results final? You know what's going down. And if you don't, just say you don't. Okay, you're cool with that? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you all being accommodating.
Yeah, it's good to see Ray every
You can put your name on that if you don't mind.
much more amenable.
I got you. I will ask you again though later.
I don't really miss it.
You know what they all say about him? He's sweet.
You know,
That's what they all say. All our people that work with Is he sweet?
Absolutely.
Okay, then it's, apparently.
Amy was saying that.
No.
I'm not
Is he a
sweet,
sweet
am
guy?
Sweden.
Very, wow, you got a first in your corner. Thank you, I love, you get you want to just do a reveal, you can do this, just so they see how sweet you are.
Okay.
There's an error on the agenda. Okay, I don't know why, 443, 596. I'm sorry. My mistake. The whole thing is wrong. Oh my God. Jesus. I don't know what I did.
That's okay. You want to announce, we should announce that to the public too then. Do they have an agenda?
Yeah. Oh man, 424. I can have them reprint it real quick. I can just run it off real quick. Okay. I'm just gonna have them replace it.
Okay.
Got everything.
Thank you.
Keep walking. You all right? Good? Good.
She's gonna reprint it. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do all the signing after you're done before salary board.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot of signing to do.
Okay.
'Cause I gotta FedEx that back to her today.
Can we do all moment of silence? Why is she doing that?
It is a new meeting, so
Yeah, okay.
we don't have to do it once.
Well, no, it's on here.
Right.
I just, because of rolling in, it just thought you thought. Amy found some mistakes. This extra couple moments gives you some time to look at the packet. We are, our fiscal director, Amy Rosen, would like to there's a couple mistakes on this agenda that she's having reprinted for you. So that's what the delay is, just to let you know.
And Jen's here, so we can't blame her. If you did, they'd be done right?
While we're waiting, you could do that. You want me to? While we're waiting for Amy to come back, why don't we open our meeting and we'll stand for a moment of silence and the pledge. Call the meeting to order. 10:15. Open moment of silence, please. Now our pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, she's back. Perfect timing. Public comment on agenda items only. Any public comments?
There's an agenda.
Yeah. I told them that you were bringing a new agenda. You know, hold this one so I don't get confused.
Yeah.
We have that one? Sorry. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
A-okay, okay. Okay. Okay, seeing no questions at this particular point. I feel like I'm going to stand up right now, if I may, because I sit real well. With that in mind, this is my first opportunity to help with the presentation of the budget. And I really want to say to all of you that it's an honor to present the proposed budget for 2021 on behalf of the Monroe County Commissioners. But I must say, honestly, in the short time that I've been in office, I've learned, well, John keeps reminding me it's not that short, Sharon, it's almost a year at this point. But I've learned that it takes a team, I mean this sincerely, to lead a county. It's not done by one person. That includes the budget and management of funds. It takes all departments and all aspects of the county to move counties forward and pull us together, especially in these times that we're struggling with right now, the challenges that are out there. And there's challenges, and we know that. Working together, we will move forward, and we are doing that. So I'd like to thank our fiscal department. We have other departments here. Please raise your hand if you're representing a department in Monroe County. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being part of this. It's very important. Both appointed and elected officials for the work that you do in this process. Okay, having said that, we'll move over to the first page of your packet. And I think just in review of some different items, the millage is, as you can tell, is not changing. We are not increasing taxes. So that will stay as is. Personnel, non-union employees will receive a 3% COLA as of January 1st. There are 2 full-time positions that we are recommending for approval. One in the courts, and the courts is called the minute clerk judicial assistant. My understanding of that position is it's somebody that really works with the pathonetary's office in organizing paperwork and things, processes that are happening within the courts themselves. And the other position is a grant writer that solely spends their time writing grants, representing and being the liaison for all the different departments, not solely what just within the commissioner's realm, but all the different departments to work with the grant manager there's so many, to get as many grants as possible. We potentially could be missing money on a daily basis because of all the grants that are out there, not just at the state level, not just at the federal level, but through other private entities as well. So that's the other recommendation. General information, you'll see the long-term debt obligation, and I'm certainly not the one to speak to that, but we have some experts here that can help with that. Healthcare remains the same for 2021. That was a good, when we got that message, that was very positive. And the retirement costs are budgeted for the same as last year's budget. So what I would like to do, if you can see all the different the capital projects reserve funds, if you take a second to just read down over those, looking at the different costs, and for next year, rightly so, the courthouse expansion is going to be one of the highest capital costs that's going to be out there. But it's needed. It's something that's needed, and we're doing it mindfully moving forward. Also, what I'd like to also say at this time is I'd like either John or John, if they would like to comment on any part of this. We are a team. It's not just me talking, but I like to have them have the opportunity to share any information or any thoughts that they would have as well. Go to John Moyer first.
On what, Sharon? What you've talked about, or
whatever
anything?
However you want to expand on anything.
Are you planning to go to subsequent pages?
No.
Oh. Well, then I would just take the opportunity to turn to page 2 to show you what our long-term debt is, and it sort of echoes what Dave Payne had said earlier on about the level of our debt. And the page after that, labeled page 3 at the bottom, is the fund balance that we have each year. You'll see that we hit a low mark in 2011 where we had an amount carried over from prior years of $114,000. It went from that up a few downs, but it peaked at something over $16 million. And you'll see a precipitous drop projected for year 2020 and also projected for year 2021. And this is not uncommon and it's not unplanned for. We anticipate using a sizable portion of our general fund next year to balance a budget. And this will be, I believe, the 9th or 10th year without a tax increase. When the tax increase came in 2012, we built on that increase to buoy up our general fund, realizing that it wouldn't last forever. Well, it's lasted through 2021, but I think if you notice, if Amy's projections are correct, and they're always, fairly close, but not completely accurate because you're projecting out a year and a couple months, but if everything worked out the way the budget shows, we would be at a fund balance at the end of 2021 of, $10,000, $5,000 more than we had in 2011. And a healthy fund balance is somewhere around 10% of one's budget. $120,000 doesn't come close to being 10% of the budget that would be adopted for the year 2022. So I guess the thing that I'm saying is, while we were able to hold the line on taxes this year without putting the county at risk of being in a negative financial position, such I don't believe is going to be the case in 2022. Now, the nature of all of the expenses that come in between now and then are going to influence what happens. Certainly, we were impacted with COVID this year, with the courts being shut down for a substantial amount of time. There's a lot of revenue that is generated through the courts that we were not able to take advantage of this year. And as I said earlier, who knows what phase of COVID we're in now and what 2021 is going to look like. But we've anticipated a rebirth of some of those those revenues next year, up in the air as to whether that will happen or not. So we've taken a conservative approach to our budgeting this year, realizing that there's no sense implementing a tax increase when one is not needed. We do not believe one is needed, and consequently, we anticipate using our fund balance to cover our shortfalls next year. But we will have shortfalls, and when next year you sit here and see that we used some large amount of our general fund to cover it, it is not unanticipated. We anticipate having the fund balance to enable us to stabilize the budget rather than raise taxes or keep them the same every couple of years. As I say, we've lasted 8, 9, or 10 years with the same tax amount that we've collected in the past. And in fact, this past year, although people don't realize it, we actually gave a break to our taxpayers by lowering our taxes. It wasn't on purpose, believe me, if you know me, I wouldn't do that on purpose, but it was because of the appeals that have come in from the reassessment that occurred last year. We actually collected less tax this year than we did last year because people had the ability to come in and appeal their assessed values, and many of them did, and many of them were successful. So it amounted to about an $800,000 decrease in our revenue stream this year, also leading to needing to use so much of our fund balance to cover the anticipated expenses for next year. So this is I think, a well-crafted, well-put-together budget. As Sharon said, we appreciate the cooperation of our departments in helping us carry this thing out because it is a monster to put together, but we think it's a safe budget and one that at this point in time does not add any more financial strain to people already stressed with the corona COVID virus.
Situation, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think if you look at page 5, you'll see how county government kind of works and what we pay for. You can see that human services, which would be aging, children and youth, those services are probably the largest. Then we have courts and corrections and court-related. There's almost 3/4 of our budget is right in those areas right there. So you can see where your tax dollars go. It's an interesting thing. The other thing that I really have to stress, and Sharon touched on it, is that our health insurance has stayed the same for the past 3 years.
Yeah, actually longer than that.
Right, and in this market right now, that's unheard of. We are self-insured. We spend over $9 million on health care. The thing is that it's all because of the actions taken by our employees that allow us to keep that number where it is. We've put in a couple of programs. One of them is we have a telemedicine program that we pay for our employees that they can call up and talk to a doctor, which has reduced our emergency room costs exorbitantly. It helps people continue to work while they can call in to the doctor and talk about their kids when they're here at work. So we encourage everyone to stay healthy, stay safe, and keep our costs down.
Thank you. Amy, can I turn it over to you? Would you like to add anything?
I think you've said it all. It's been a pleasure working with you this year through the budget process.
You want to face the group and say?
Smile?
You want to face the group and say that, or honestly?
And I'd just like to acknowledge my staff who worked pretty hard on it as well. Jen's here with us today, but also Jacqueline and Christine have put in a lot of effort to make this happen.
Okay.
A number of trees have died.
So do we?
No, you don't. You're just presenting it. You don't need a motion.
No, I was just even. Is there anything with presentation of the budget? How about presentation 2020 county millage rates as follows? Is that there just for reference?
They just stay the same and they follow the same.
That's the same as it has been, correct?
So
And
there's
then
just a slight change between the, what's in the, we're using for general fund versus debt service. From last year, I believe we're actually using a little more, a little less for the debt service obligation.
okay, thank you. And then presentation of the 2021 county liquid fuels budget in the amount of $443,596. That's it. That's just
That's just the amount of money that we get for liquid fuels. And for those, we have 23 bridges that we're responsible for, and that money goes to the support of those bridges. That's the only thing we can really spend that money on. And there's other sources of income that we use for that also. 13, Marcellus Shale, and there's another one, I think. But that's what we do to keep our bridges
Yep.
up and running.
Okay, any public comment, questions? Okay, hearing one, and then Donald. Okay, well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.